The Corporal, he saw time. Hey, YouTube. Stanley Pacion here. I have a poem called Corporal, All Night Love Encounter. The Corporal, he saw time. He saw 30 seconds. He saw temporal instants. He saw the spin, the vortex, the endpoint, whereat all disappeared. No fiction, no imaginary construct. The vanishing, real. It was the same as any other solid in existence. He was turning the corner into the living room when he noticed the couch become clear light. Transparent, a configuration of lines, blue lines on white background, and at the bottom right-hand corner a lined rectangular box spelled out blanks to be composed at a later time. They read, name, address, and project title. Corporal seemed to slip into more familiar space. He lay upon the bed on his back. He sat up. He bent forwards and grasped his toes. He was smarting. He was hurting all over. He suffered. It seemed every muscle, every joint ached. My, what a plethora of subjects crossed his mind. The Corporal, he saw every crack and crevice of heaven. He rolled up, brought his knees to chest, and then, white light, he caught such gigantic power that a bubble, he broke the bubble, that night he broke the bubble and went beyond. He went way beyond the stars he walked to feel. The wheat had grown to his waist. He ran full speed, and he could see himself, stark, dark figure in the distance while he ran. He ran breakneck towards the horizon of black and yellow, checkerboard, colored sky. It was the moment he turned to ask her. Their clothes were scattered throughout the parlor. It was late night, and a view of lower Manhattan lights, the buildings, street lamps, and bridges burned. Out the window, the illumination awesome. Out the window view from the 25th floor of the high-rise. He asked how it had been for her. Corporal wondered because they had never left the front room couch, and the sadness of re-entry. Earth's gravity began to exert its heavy hold, and she, adopting chapter and verse from the good Dr. Leary's work, replied, it was 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better? Corporal queried. Their clothes were scattered throughout the parlor. Corporal flashed in Technicolor, a motion picture screen. It occupied the theater before his eyes. The hall was vast, with long, drawn aisles and fretted vault. Chandeliers illuminated architecture. A long, flat-board stage. It had a trough for footlights, and over its edge an orchestra pit. Ornate blocks and floral, leafy rosettes and high relief accented the luxury. And as this scene unfolded, Corporal saw another time, another place, a vision long ago, Workman Studios. Industry beyond narrow focus of bottom line. He lamented how terrible the cost of greed, that new notions, corporate priority had replaced the love and regard for handmade things. His mind ran as freight train from town to town, and when it slowed to heed the road-level crossings, Corporal saddened over the depopulated stores and thought. The thought occurred whether big box merchants had subjugated America and reduced its people, force of labor, down to the stacking of shelves. Corporal refocused his vision and saw in the theater upon the walls fluted columns. They rose to the ceiling, and between them there were paintings, pictures of deep woods. These painted forest scenes opened upon coves and secret manicured gardens whose waters reflected amorous gods at sport. They made love with mythical creatures. And then, in an instant, when his eyes returned to the drama, the show that ran upon the screen, at first he thought Popeye. But no olive oil was there. Instead he saw white-hot blonde with long curly tresses bouncing from her shoulder. Remember, these were full-action figures which played. They were he and she. Remember, these were full action figures. Then he realized the cartoon characters which played. They were he and she. They were locked within impossible embrace. Corporal heard the music score. Wham, bam. He checked. He reached around his torso, touched his back. He had to feel with his fingers. Otherwise, how could he have known? Did the joints of his spine still stay in place? He wondered whether contortionists on view, a dream, or was it a third-person glimpse? The cameras, true capture, the hours previous to light, now projected with vivid light on the screen. Oh, the animation and the color before him. He mulled it over. He was trying to discern what was real, what was not. And then he felt a warm, all over pleasant body heat and heard what he knew was voice of the Lord. Eagle, eagle, arise. Why sleep now? It's dawn, and eat and drink, and all the eagles wait to watch you. Lord, Lord, Corporal whispered, all that you have put upon me, I know these things are good. Haven't I been promised them since youth? And she, her face no more than an inch away from his, she sighed and responded again to his erstwhile query. It was 1,000 times better, she said. Corporal ran, he ran breakneck towards horizon. It was late night, and a view of lower Manhattan lights, the building, street lamps, and bridges burned. Out the window, the illumination, awesome, out the window view from the 25th floor of the high-rise.